we all doing out there? I got to tell you, it is such an inspiration to come out here and listen to all of these wonderful conservative leaders talk about the values that we all hold dear. You know, I think over the last year and a half of my experiences in Wisconsin, it's truly been remarkable to see what we've been able to do there in the dairy state. You know, but none of those things would have been possible without the fine people that we have behind us leading our state chapter, our incredible activists. And I think the most important thing that they can do is realize that their time is valued in the fight for freedom. So I do want to say thank you to each and every one of you folks who's out there on the front lines joining us in this battle. You know, I never thought that coming from a small town in Wisconsin, I'd have an opportunity to help lead an organization like Americans for Prosperity Foundation. You know, a rambunctious night for us back in old Stratford, Wisconsin, was going out and tipping some cows over. And I think we're actually going to try and redo that tonight, but we might be tipping some protesters instead. You know, those protesters, boy, I really love those protesters. We saw a lot of those folks during the 12-month occupation in old Wisconsin. But the one thing I think most important to all of that is it showed that it takes bold and courageous leaders in the states to make sure that our policies and our principles are carried through. And that's exactly what we had under the leadership of Governor Scott Walker. I think perhaps one of the most important and inspiring things for me about working for AFP is the incredible people that I get to call my team. Right? We have some incredible political people on the ground who have relationships that matter, that can go out and help move the policy dialogue on the front lines in the states. And that's led by some incredible folks. I know there's a bunch of our state directors out here in the crowd with us today. If you guys can stand up, let's acknowledge these folks for the fine work that they do. And I think one of the most important things that I draw from, right? We've had some defeats in the last couple of years when it comes to economic freedom. But the thing that inspires me to get up every morning and keep driving forward is two very important things. My family. Number one, my mom and dad, Bill and Mona Hilgeman, who are with us today, if these folks can stand up. Mom and Dad, you guys have inspired me to do incredible things. And then you inspired me from the very beginning of my life to work hard, to be honest, and to have integrity. And that is the kind of leadership that I'm going to continue to bring all the way through AFP. And I think probably the most important thing that keeps me going every day is for people who aren't here with me. But it's my beautiful wife, Jamie, and my three lovely children, Cole, Caleb, and Kenley at home. They've sacrificed so much for me, and it's with them that I fight for this country. And I share those inspirations because I think that's what truly keeps us all going. Despite the downfalls, despite the setbacks that we've experienced, we come together and we fight for freedom because we know that it's important and we know that only in America can the dream of freedom continue. So with that, I have the honor to introduce our next speaker. Rick Perry has been on the front lines in Texas, devoting his entire adult life to create a more prosperous Texas. He's fearlessly defended Texans' conservative values, fought for principled solutions to tough challenges, and worked to implement a clear vision for better schools, more jobs, and a brighter future for the Lone Star State. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our next speaker to the stage, the Governor of Texas, Rick Perry.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Howdy. Luke, thank you very much. It is a great and a distinct honor to be in this part of the world. I got to sit backstage and watch Governor Scott, and I miss Bobby, but those are two of the most dynamic, powerful competitors in the country. And I'm proud to have them I'm proud to have them not only as my friends and colleagues and people who philosophically are on the same page, if you will, of our playbook, but also because they're competitors. They understand the concept of competition as well as any governors in this country. They're individuals who, when I get up in the morning, they make me nervous. Along with Susana Martinez over in New Mexico, Mary Fallon up in Oklahoma, Scott Walker up in Wisconsin. You see, they're working every day to make their states be more competitive. Because as we sit here and we think about how does America become more prosperous, all roads lead back to the states. All roads lead back to the states. And let me tell you, we've certainly been demonstrating that in my home state of Texas. We've been focusing in our efforts now for over a decade. I tell my friends on the left, I said, if you want to see how to do it and how to do it right, look to Texas. And I tell them, I said, listen, that's not bragging. Because if you can do it, it's not bragging, right? And I challenge others. Matter of fact, I just left from St. Louis, Missouri, and flew directly here. I've been up talking to the people of Missouri about their business climate. I've been sharing with them a vision of a place that has low taxes and a regulatory climate that is fair and predictable, a legal system that doesn't allow for oversuing, accountable public schools so that you know that you can find the skilled workforce that you're looking for. And if that fits your image of where your company could best flourish, then move on down to Texas. And I hope I did it in a very civil and a very, appropriate and congenial way. But the fact is, the governor of Missouri had vetoed a tax cut. And the people of Missouri and the legislature is contemplating overriding that veto. And I think not a better example of what we should be doing in this country than having that discussion openly, thoughtfully, about which of these policies truly do serve the people of our states better. Is it high taxation and onerous regulation? Is it a legal system that allows for oversuing it? Is it public schools that don't produce a skilled workforce? I suggest no. And there are places that are examples of how it's working right. I look at Louisiana. I look at Florida. I look and see what these states that operate under what I refer to as red state policies and the product. But I look further and I look and see how their people are living. The places where there is hope for their families. Hope that they'll have a better future than what the previous generation had. And in my home state, there are families there who maybe a half a decade ago had a minimum wage job at best if they had a job. And because of the economy and what has happened in the state of Texas over the last decade, they're having an incredible opportunity. They're owning their home. They're making over $100,000 a year driving a truck in the Eagle Ford Formation because of what that oil and gas industry's done. It's happening in the state of Texas because we understand something. We understand that if you will free people from overtaxation and overregulation and over litigation, and you make sure that those public schools are accountable so that that skilled workforce will be available, that the people will prosper. You see, that's the future of America. All roads lead back to the state. Our founding fathers understood something. Our founding fathers understood something intuitively. It's the reason they created the 10th Amendment. They understood that Washington was supposed to do a few things, do those few things very well. Things like have a cogent foreign policy, defend our borders, have tax policy in our country that basically gave incentives for money made offshore to come back into the United States and create jobs and wealth. And then let the states decide how best to deal with all of this plethora of other issues, like health care. I mean, you think about, I'll be real honest with you, I don't think the American people particularly want to look to Washington, D.C. to solve the problems of the day. Washington, D.C. is creating the problems of the day. We're already seeing, you think about, we are 50 different laboratories of innovation, or we should be, Catherine. When you think about these 50 different states, we should be competing against each other. The idea that a governor would say, I'm offended that you would come into my state and try to talk my businesses to come back to your state. I'm stunned with that attitude. We know what competition means. We see it every day. College football started last night. We understand competition. We understand that we're never going to be stronger unless someone is pushing us. We understand it is uncomfortable to compete, though. I understand that. Listen, Bobby is on the eastern side of the state of Texas in Louisiana. And I promise you, I don't know whether he's gone back there. I need to leave and to make sure and go back. But I know Rick Scott is going to be in Texas tomorrow. And I'm betting he's going to be thinking about or talking to some businesses about what a great business climate he's creating in Florida. I know that, but I'm not offended by that. As a matter of fact, that's how we got better in Texas, is that type of competition. Having governors putting tax policy, regulatory policies into place, putting incentives into place for their businessmen and women to make their state be more competitive. That is what America is supposed to be about. All roads lead back to the states. That's the future of America. We need a federal government that tries to make themselves more, or I should say, less consequential and more impactful in our states every day. Let's have people stand up. I don't want to see somebody stand up and saying, I want to go to Washington, D.C. and to make Washington, D.C. like my state. I want to see somebody go back and say, I want to make Washington, D.C. as inconsequential as it can be and let the states compete against each other. That's the formula. Do the few things that Washington and our founding fathers meant for us to do, and then let the states lead this country back to prosperity. That's what America needs. We need to continue saying to Washington, no matter who's in charge, that there's a better way. And we have to harness this awesome power that is encapsulated in these 50 laboratories of innovation to free them. Because I will promise you, I know that there are enough governors out there who will pick and choose from different ideas that are being created in those states, take them back to their states to implement them. And this health care, this one-size-fits-all Obamacare that we know now is going to cost us jobs. And the idea that you're going to be able to keep your doctor, and the idea that it's not going to cost you anymore is a fallacy. And allow this, if you want the simple solution, people stand and say, well, you Republicans need to have an answer to this. if you're going to defund Obamacare, if you're going to not do this, well, how about allowing the states, block grant those dollars back to the states and let them come up with the best way to deliver the health care? Because the fact is, every state is different. Every state is different. Indiana is different from Illinois, that is different from Kansas, that is different from New Mexico. Each one of them have different populations that need to be treated differently. In our home state, we would have health savings account. We would have personal responsibility. We would have ways to copay, to put personal responsibility involved into it. I'll guarantee you, we would be able to deliver more health care better to more people if Washington, D.C. was not sitting there trying to make one size fit all. You know, we have to remember something in this country, and we need to remember our first national motto was E pluribus unum, out of many, one. You know, judging by how Washington's been doing business lately, they got it turned around the other way. And listen, I realize all of this is a tall order from the standpoint of getting this country back to where our founding fathers would recognize the separation, if you will, of these 50 states now that we operate in. But the fact is, this country's worth making that sacrifice for. And it starts right here. It starts with you and leaving here and being excited about the opportunities of making a difference in the elections and in your hometowns and in your communities. It's a job that we cannot fail at. It is a job that we need to be continuously and firmly grounded up in. The future of our country relies upon the men and women in this audience. I challenge you to leave here with a fire in your soul, with the attitude of, yes, we can, and that, ladies and gentlemen, America's future is in your hands. Let's take America back. God bless you, and thank you all for being here with us. Thank you.